Hello, I'm Andrea Petrozzi, the principal investigator for the SMART project. In this podcast, I would like to look at situations where values we hold are in conflict with one another. Values are our guiding principles in life. Our values intuitively tell us what is right and what is wrong for us. Although our values may be similar to other people's, we prioritize them differently. To illustrate those points, I've been talking to Gita. Gita, you were one of the participants in the SMART project. Thank you for agreeing to talk to us about your experience. You have been competing at the elite level for more than 10 years, and your sporting career has enormous ups and downs. I would like to explore with you the conflicts that you experienced between different values that are important to you in different situations. So, to start with, why don't you tell us about yourself?
Okay, I was born in Indonesia. Um, I'm sure some of you will know that Indonesia is a very strict country in terms of religions, in terms of culture. I am. I have two brothers, half brothers, older and younger brother. I haven't spoken to my half brother. I'm kind of estranged with my younger brother just because of what happened in my life. Just because being me is not deemed as normal in my culture and in my family, where I came from a Muslim family. And with that, as a woman that comes from Indonesia and a Muslim, has certain responsibility that I had to carry, which is you have to always be a dutiful daughter and dutiful wife. Once you're married off by your family, you have to be a wife, but you will always be a daughter. And being an athlete, which is a very interesting one because it's not normal, especially not around my family background, where my dad is a doctor and my mom is a housewife. As you can see, she's not working, she's serving and being a dutiful wife to my father. Where me, I'm 29 and traveling the world and competing, which is in a sports that are still taboo, especially in the Western country. It's still branches, it's still growing, it's not yet acceptable in some view of other people, let alone in my country, where when I told my family I was gonna compete in kickboxing, Muay Thai, and MMA, it was out of question. It was bizarre because one, how am I gonna dress? Two, how am I gonna present them? What people gonna talk about them? What sin? What shame that I brought to them? So it becomes an estranged part of the family. Regardless, I'm still Indonesian. I have a big love for my family and my country, and I want to, I guess, why I'm competing and why I'm still here, and wanting to talk about my experience because eventually I want people to know. I want other girls that come from my country to know that it's possible to do whatever you want, to believe whatever you believe, and still be you.
Okay, you say your family didn't approve your choice of sport or even just the fact that you wanted to be an athlete. And I'm sure it was a difficult situation. But in the end, you choose sport. Was sport more important to you than family?
All right, this is a difficult question. I think sport is important because of my background where I was married off very young. Very young in my age where I was not in adulthood yet. I don't know the world. I don't know what is dating. I never grow up. So I grew up in sports It's a way of escaping that problem that I had domestically, that I have to get out and I have to save myself. I saved myself with sport. I grew up with sport. Sport is like a parent to me. So MMA coaches, friends, I wasn't raised by my parents. I was raised by my coach. I was raised by my teammates. I was raised in the ring. And it was hard because it is important, and no matter what, I will never leave the sport. And I guess it is my family. I feel traveling around make me realize that family is not just bond by blood, but is bond by tears, by sweat, by laughter, by stories, and by hard work.
How would you describe mixed martial arts to someone who has never seen that in their life?
Mixed martial art is it's mixed of combat sport. You've seen boxing. You add boxing with a kick. You add the kick with an elbow to the face. And then now you add jiu-jitsu, which is a ground, like a mix of wrestling. You wrestle someone to the ground and then you're able to punch them in the ground. I mean, there's certain rules, like, you can't poke them in the eye, or you can't, kick between the groins, but it's such an interesting sport that anything goes. Like, you can elbow, you can kick, you can knee, you can punch, you can strike with palms, you can stomp on their feet, you can slap. So it's very interesting. It's a very colorful sports.
So your sport is not an Olympic sport. Where do you stand when it comes to taking prohibited substances?
It is not Olympic sport, but one of the sport that I also compete in, which is Muay Thai, just given a provisional in the Olympic sports. It is very hard, especially knowing that I've encountered people that use it. I see them. They're working hard because controlled substance that they're taking doesn't make them invincible. It doesn't make them magically strong, magically fast. It's all by hard works. That substances are what deem the condition make them do. It's the environment. And the environment they are in is the whisper on the right, it's the whisper on the left. When you're training, the day you are waking up, like in the morning, you start training. It's not just you. It's from the day you woke up. You open your eyes. Your breakfast is your training because it's your part of your diet. You go running for 10 kilometers or a long hour of run. Right away you train for 2.5 hours. You only have a little bit of lunch, and you're trained to rest, recover, which is sleep, and then you wake up, start running again, and then train again until at night, and then rest a little bit, have dinner, and train again. So you train basically a hard 7 hours maybe in a day, like physical training. You're prone to injury, and those injury, as I tell you, like, the sport is your life. When you become an elite athlete, it is your air. When you don't have an air because of injury, or you can't do your sport, you feel like you're drowning. So sometimes having injury had made you have to take this substance. Sometimes people don't know they're taking this substance. There's so much reason, but it doesn't wash out their hard work. It doesn't make them like just ordinary people that just sedentary people take steroids or prohibited substance. It doesn't make them where we are. They're not gonna able to compete with us. It's almost like leveling the playing field at this time. It's not well regulated yet, and when it's regulated, is to the extreme where people are doing it unsafely. So I feel like, there is no white, there is no black, there's gray area where people are being human. It's not good or bad. It doesn't justify them by using substances. It doesn't justify. It doesn't justify like telling that this sport is dirty and this sport can't be in Olympic sport, because this sport saved a lot of people. It saved me. And yes, I don't think there's even a clean sport. So if I'm being honest, I'm not a hypocrite. It is bound to be there. And I've taken one. I got caught using it, and it made me realize who I am is just part of the life.
You mentioned that you were tested positive and the substance was clenbuterol. Did you feel conflicted about it then? And how do you feel about it now? Can you tell us what happened?
Yeah, I can tell you what happened. It is one of my biggest career break. That one fight, that catapulted me up, that pushed me from just seasonal athlete to elite athlete. And it was the biggest fight in China. And I can't turn down. I can't make the weight. I know that I can't make the weight. I was way, way overweight. I was 56 something, and I have to be 53. And looking at me, I'm 170 centimeters. Being 53 normally, it's not my walking weight, and I have to be on the dot in 3 weeks. I think in 3 weeks, and I just came off an injury. Again, I told you, it's an injury, and being an athlete, you train with your injury. It doesn't heal properly. It takes longer. And I told my coach that, hey, this is it. We gotta do it. This is because that early of the year, me and my coach, when we signed the contract, we're gonna, go ahead, like be a coach and an athlete. I told him, take me to the championship by the end of the year. Take me there. I'll do whatever it takes. And it is whatever it takes. At the time, I don't know what I'm taking. Like I say, I take a lot of pills. It is vitamins pills, it's magnesium, zinc, ZMA, and I just had an extra pills that my coach gave me. I still remember it was in there's a receptionist counter. He have a cubby behind the receptionist counter. He opened the cubby, and there's like a white bottle, no label. And I say, take this, half of this, every morning before you eat. I took it. I noticed a difference. I feel like my heart pumping out of my chest. But again, I won that fight fair and square. I didn't win by knockout. I go through the 15 minutes in the cage. All in my mindset is she is locked with me. I'm not locked there with her. She should be afraid with me because I train when I wake up till I go to sleep. I came into the gym before everyone's there, and I lock up. I left the gym when everybody already left. And I did that for 3 weeks. And what that substance do to me at the time is only helping me make the weight. It doesn't make me faster. It doesn't make me punch harder. It doesn't improve my skill or whatsoever. So I feel like, doesn't conflict me. At the time, I didn't know. When I found out, do I regret it? Yeah, I feel remorseful. I feel embarrassed. I feel ashamed. Will I do it again? Yes. Will I do it again at that condition, knowing what's gonna happen and what I learned? Yes, because I don't want to change anything. Because if I change it, I wouldn't be here.
Why this fight was so important? Tell us more about it.
This fight was important because my family kept telling me, you're gonna fail, you're not gonna make it. My ex telling me, like, you're throwing your life, you're not gonna make it, you're just gonna injure yourself, you're not gonna have your name known. It's important because I want my story to be told, and that's fight gonna secure my place for having my name and contract with one of the biggest fight promotion in Southeast Asia. Is as big as UFC right now. So I have to do it. I have to get that fight. And then the fight is everybody saying, no, you can't do it. Oh, I'm going to prove you I could do it. For every single blood, sweat, and tears that I gave, I'm going to prove you that I can make it to the top.
And then you won.
And then I won. And it was beautiful.
How did it make you feel?
At the time, I think it was so emotional that I cried. I cried so bad. I still remember the CEO of the promotion came and gave me like a big trophy with ring girls and their flowers. I can't even hold everything in my hand, so I have to give one back to them. I cried, and then because I spoke Mandarin, I remember the commentator was telling me, why are you crying? You're winning. I'm like, I know. I just can't cry. And then I still remember when we came down, everybody was just like, before, when I came into the ring, everybody booed me because it is their superstar. I fought in a desert in Mongolia. It is their superstar, and I beat her fair and square. Like, by skill wise, I'm not. We're really good pair up, like match, because I didn't knock her out. It goes 15 minutes. She's locked with me inside the cage for 15 minutes, and I barely get out with a scratch. So it was beautiful. And then when we came down, I took off my glove. My coach cut off the hand wraps, and I still remember I cried like, thank you for not stopping believing me. Thank you for taking me here. And I feel like that burden that I have, people saying, you can't do it, Geeta. You are worthless. You can't do it. You're destroying your life. You can't. It's just an emotion, like a dam of water just like burst out. So I burst out tears, or that's the happy tears.
And then you were asked for doping control.
Yeah. And that was funny. There's a press conference. It was never had a press conference before. First time I had a press conference, I was sitting there, and it was funny because I still remember I looked to my right, everyone was there. Flashes, like you're feeling that adrenaline, you're up in the sky, you're high with all emotion. And then I look to my left is my opponent. It was because we're main fight, so we're fighting in the like late at night. She's using like a big sunglasses, and I feel like, wow, I did a good job. You know, and then coming down from the stage, no, I didn't go out to the changing room. I go out I was directed to go to this room. It's almost like this, and just but one table, and I see like people are there, like talking. I spoke Mandarin, not that fluent though. So I roughly understand what they're talking about, and my coach told me they're gonna test me, and I'm like, testing for what? I'm healthy, like because every fight, once you're done, you have to see a doctor, and then the doctor will gonna like check you and test, take your blood pressure, and then see if you're still conscious, and ask you like simple stuff like what days today, what's your name, just to make sure like you're fully aware of what's happening. I've done it. And oh, they're gonna do your urine test. And I'm like, for what? And then that my alarm, my spidey sense, like, oof, what is gonna happen here? And they're like, oh, we gotta test your urine for drug. At the time, I honestly think it was like drug as like hard drugs, like cocaine or something. But then I was like, oh, maybe it's the other drug, is the controlled substance, performance enhancement. I'm like, maybe that one. And half of me, no, I'm gonna get caught. My other half, like, oh my god, because I didn't take. The problem with this, like, the problem people are misunderstood. Like, you take the drugs or performance enhancing is up to the day of your fight, but you don't. The day of my fight, I don't take it. I stopped taking drugs a couple of days before, so some part of me think like, oh, it's gonna be out of my system. But and I have this lady give me like a clear plastic bottle with label, and go to the toilet. Had to sit there for the longest time in my life, like half an hour or so, because she's staring at me. I never had somebody stare at me while I taking like urine. Like what? And it's not like you're just staring at, like you're picking like that. She's staring at me and pushing the door open, and I'm like, oh my god. And I'm sweating here, and then I'm just like, all that emotion, adrenaline just like start wearing off. So I'm start panicking. I'm like, I can't go, like I can't take the sample if you're staring at me. And then she's like, okay, it's okay. You just relax. Think of something. I'll be here, and then I'll be here whenever you're ready. Like, don't worry about it. Just pee. And I'm like, I can't. Eventually, I did. And then there's like a commotion of people. I know that I was gonna pop positive. I knew it because everybody, like, because I can't just leave the room. It's not like, okay, I was waiting there, like me and my coach are there, like just waiting what's going on, like, and we're just waiting. And my coach went over there. They have quite a heated conversation. I don't know what it is. Because again, there's a translation going on. People are talking, and I'm like, what is going on? I still remember I was lost. I was lost at the moment. I'm not sure if I comprehend what's going on, but then the CEO came in. It became a big motion. I was just like, what is going on? And went to the changing room, and was told that I popped positive, but it needs further investigation on condition and situation, so I have to leave what I got then. So my achievement, I have to let go. Like, I don't mind of the paycheck or everything, because I got sponsorship and stuff, but the fact that my achievement, that I worked so hard, I have to say, like, because of that, of a fat loss, pills, substance performance enhancing drugs, you are not eligible for your win. So it was a heartbreak. It was probably what, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, feeling of happiness suddenly just gone. Like, my bubble just burst. I think I was just broke into tears and shock at the same time and angry. I don't know what happened. I don't know what I feel back then. I just cried. But this one is not a happy cry.
What was the title that you had to lose because of?
It's the championship as the KLF. It's a KLF champion, women atom weight, 53 kilo.
And you served 6 months.
Yes.
You mentioned that you sort of knew that you are taking some sort of prohibited substance, which was turned out to be clenbuterol, because you felt the effect, although it wasn't clear to you exactly what it is. But you felt the effect. Were you concerned about your health?
I guess the sport itself is already brutal. I mean, I'm not going for a sprint or a run or a gymnastic. I actually get punched and get kicked. Anything could happen inside the ring. So I'm already risking. Weighing the risk with the achievement, I did have those kind of like going around my mind. Because it's not like just, as if your heart rate are just normal. It's crazy. My heart rate is so high. And then I'm performing in a very intensive sports that always push your heart rate to the red zone, to my max. But then I always have those polar heartbeat, and I always have my coach controlled me like, hey, you're on your red zone. Bring it down. I'll take a step back. So it does in a control way. I didn't ask because I know my coach wouldn't let me do it if will endanger my life. And if it's severely in danger, I don't think it's worth it. Like any story doesn't worth your life. Any medal doesn't worth your life. But at the time, I trust my coach enough and a lot with my life that I know he will never do anything to harm me.
So if you could rewind the time, would you do it again?
Yes, I would do it again. Because knowing what lesson I learned, where I am right now, my life has become a joyride for me, full of experience and surprises. I will take it again. I didn't regret it at the time of taking it, and I will do it again with the same circumstance.
And what about today? Would you do it today?
No. In this condition, I would not do it again at all. I'm not gonna take enhancement drugs for my performance because I know where I am. And I know what I can do. I also know my prime time are close. As an athlete, you're not gonna fight until I'm gray. I know I'm not gonna be able to punch people in the next 20 years. I have other things. And I guess it's an experience that younger Indonesian or younger girls that looking for themselves could learn. That could hear my story and don't have to go through it for the learning lesson.
You said that you were offered the drug after that episode, but you decided not to take it.
It's actually really recently I was offered to take clenbuterol and actually another drug, I'm not sure what the name is, by a random guy who is deemed as himself as a coach that knows how to cycle steroids and performance enhancing drugs. And I'm like, it's not worth it. I've been there, and I've been in an elite level where I'm not gonna touch that right now. And my experience have taught me, have matured me and humbled me enough to make me wiser on choosing no thank you, but I'm not gonna judge you for what you're doing.
With everything that happened to you, some people would have given up the sport, but you didn't. Was that because you just love your sport, or were you trying to prove something to your family or to the world or to yourself?
Before I used the sport to prove things to my family, to myself, to my ex, that I'm strong, that coming out of a toxic relationship, an abusive one, where I was told I wasn't worth it. I wasn't worthy because I don't have education, because I wasn't smart enough to go to university. I used the sport to grow up, to express myself. Being a very strict family, I'm not allowed to wear certain clothes. I'm not allowed to do my hair a certain way. Now it is part of my identity. The sport, the love of the sport is in me. The sport is my identity. I can't not have an identity. I cannot not love myself, because myself is related very heavily with the sport. And I want to show that I can be myself. I can finally be myself, what I deem good, and still love the sport, still be in the sport, in the way that I'm the director now. I'm the director of my story. I'm not just the actor or the pawn. I actually rule it. I will navigate it where it will navigate. And again, a single mistake will not ruin the whole experience. Like, I guess in Indonesia there's a saying, like, once, like, a drop of spoiled milk will ruin the whole, like, a bowl of milk. Well, it doesn't happen in this case. That's just, I'm just gonna make it a fermented cheese, a buttermilk. I created something else. I evolve in a way. The sports make me evolve to the way I am. I came into the sport as a little scared girl. They are broken. And I'm in the sports to become a beautiful woman, and strong and independent.
You also spoke of traditional cultural values, some of which you uphold no matter what, such as maybe respect for the elderly. You mentioned that earlier. Or wanting to stand as a role model for women and Muslim women and female Muslim athletes. Why are these important to you? Was your commitment to these values ever changed?
As you're looking at me right now, I have a buzz hair, like a shaved hair. I wear makeup. I wear jewelry. I wear sports clothes. But I still go and pray. Everybody stare at me when I go there, because they don't expect someone like me going in there, because the room are segregated for the female and male. So they don't expect somebody like me going in there, because everybody, either they're using hijab or covering themselves or very modest. Where I believe I'm a good person no matter how I am. And I was raised right with my grandparents. Through my journey, I always learned there's always a bad and there's always a good. Through my journey living in Thailand, living in China, living in Korea, living in Indonesia as an athlete, I learned that everybody have demon. Everybody, that what makes you human, but it's what makes you a good person if you could separate them, if you could have that knowledge or experience to say like, no, I want to stand what is right. And in my culture, there is some good things. There's a lot of good things, like being polite. To be honest, I would never call my mom with her first name. No matter how bitter my relationship with my parents, I always say I put the utmost respect for them. I don't yell. I don't scream whenever we fight. I listen. It makes me a better human because I know I can control myself. And I learn control what you can control. I'm not going to try to control and rein their emotion. That's their emotion. If that makes them better and make them feel like a better person, who am I to judge? But I can control what I can control. And I guess I believe on roles gender, where women should know how to cook, to clean, to look after themselves. But at the same time, I evolve it just like, I guess, a caterpillar. You can evolve all that you believe to become something beautiful. Like, knowing how to cook, knowing how to clean really helped me, especially when I was an athlete and living with a lot of male athletes. I'm the one that I can cook, I can clean, and I feel like blessed that I grew up in that value. And I guess that's kind of my persona right now. It's a way of me exploring other things. When I'm not focusing on punching people in the face or not getting punched, I'll be baking. And then I know I can't eat it, but I can make people happy by giving them here something that I bake. I know I'm in a fight camp, I can't eat it. I didn't even taste it, but seeing them happy, eating my food makes me happy. It makes me feel like I'm a good person. So I do feel like that. And then I guess respect that I have, it goes a long way, that it goes to my lecturer right now. I don't think of my lecturer as a peer. They are somebody that mentor me, so I put utmost respect for them. Their life and their experience are way higher. So I do learn, and it makes me crave of learning. And I guess I treated respect as if I wanted to be respected like the way I am later when I'm old. So now I treat people that are older than me with, they had they have a lot of grain of salt in their life. So yeah. And then, and knowing the martial art are a growing trend, that's why I'm going to school, because now I have a scientific kind of background to bring it up. Like, I've gone to school. I'm an Indonesian, I'm a woman, I'm an athlete, I'm a Muslim. You can do it too. And then, I can volunteer to a female club where it's only female, that, you're using hijab, you're using burqa, you can do it. Because when I was there, when I was helpless, I wish there's people like me that will tell their story. So I know where to look. I know what to do. Because sometimes you don't have the resource to reach out. Sometimes you're looking out. So that's why I share my story. That's why I believe what I believe. That's why I believe that, whatever you dress, whatever you believe, you should be you and do what is right for you.
Thank you very much for being so honest about your experiences and the conflicts that you felt then and now. And I can see how you turned the very painful episodes in your life into something good and positive. And you managed to move forward, learn from your experiences, and develop both as a person and as an athlete. So thank you again for sharing that with us.
You're welcome.
Thank you.